the very informal syllabus here shows, we're going to go over a few separate things here today. We're going to talk about a review of the Pages function in AdvancedKit. It's important to understand the Pages function in order to get to number 6 that we're going to look at, and that is running the AutoPage function once we've completed a search. So between number 1 and number 6, we're going to do a review of portfolios and how they differ from pages. Somebody just joined in there that's in the conference call that has their computer speakers turned up. Looks like they caught it. Okay. Once we understand portfolios and pages, we can then set up the search, we can run the search, and we can save the search results as a portfolio, and we can use that portfolio to create saved pages that makes it nice and easy to go through our results, already having all the studies and indicators on our chart that we like to use. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the AdvancedKit End of Day program. Everybody should see a chart of Rite Aid Corporation on their screen now. My chart might look a little different than yours in that I like to use a gray background. I just find that to be easier on my eyes. We did a complete session a few weeks ago on how to manipulate AdvancedKit and change all the properties to make the charts look like how you would like them to be, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But we are going to go ahead and talk about the Pages function. The great thing about Pages is that you can have a chart set up with all of your technical analysis on there. For instance, I have the Elliott waves turned on. I have my Elliott oscillator down here at the bottom. I could go ahead and put some text on here. Let's say, hello class. Put some text on the chart. Have any drawing lines on here that I wanted to point out. And I can save this, everything as it is, as a page by just going up here to the Pages menu and selecting Save Page As. And you'll see that I already have my Rite Aid chart in here as a page, but I'm going to go ahead and select that and save it again, and it has saved these changes that I just made. If I go back in here to the page and say Load Page and load up the Cisco page, I'm going to come up with Cisco, and I can go back to my Rite Aid page and load that, and it comes right back up with all of the things that I just did on it. Now, I'm sorry? Do it a little slower. We're going to do this several times, so you'll get this as we go along here. Basically, before we get into the search, I want to explain this menu that you see right here. What's going on with this menu is the difference between what a file is and what a folder is on your computer. You can basically think of your computer as a big file cabinet that you would have in your office. And you've heard the term hard drive used with computers. You can basically think of each drawer on that filing cabinet as a drive on your computer. The C drawer or the C drive on your computer is where all of your folders are contained on your computer. And inside of those folders can be individual files. In this case, we're talking about individual pages. So as we're looking at this menu here, on the left, what we have is a Pages folder that I have highlighted right there where it says Pages. That is a folder on your computer. Inside, when I have Pages highlighted, are the individual files that are contained within this Pages folder. So in the Pages folder, I have an IBM daily file and an Intel daily file. Those are two saved pages that I have inside of my Pages folder. What you see on the left-hand side below Pages, we've got the little dotted lines coming down to where it says Watch List. Watch List, since it's over here on this left-hand side, is also a folder. It's a folder that's inside of the Pages folder. So when I highlight Watch List, you see over here on the right that I have two pages inside of my Watch List folder. I have a Cisco daily and a Rite Aid daily. So this is just a little review of how our Pages structure works. We just have our Pages folder, and contained within the Pages folder are either individual pages, which are shown on the right, or other folders, which are shown here on the left. And whichever folder I have highlighted on the left, it's going to display the pages contained within that folder on the right. So that's a little brief understanding on how this works. If I wanted to create a new folder inside of the Pages folder, I would just highlight the Pages folder, and down in the lower left-hand corner here, we have a new folder icon. And I'll select that, and it just says New Folder, and we'll say Test Folder, just for the sake of what we're doing here. And I hit Enter, and now I have another folder in there labeled Test Folder. And since there are no pages yet saved inside of Test Folder, there's nothing displayed here on the right when I have it highlighted. So we'll come back to this once we get to the end, after we've run the search. We're going to get to the point where we can fill up an entire folder full of all of our search results. So that's just a little brief review of what pages are. I can go in, if I want to load the Cisco page again, just for the gentleman who wanted to see it a little slower, I just highlight the watch list folder, and I select my Cisco daily page that I have in there. And I hit the load button over here on the right. And that brings up my Cisco page that I have saved. If I want to go back to my Rite Aid page on which I drew the text and the arrows, I just need to go up to the Pages menu and select Load Page. And it brings up that menu again. I have watch list highlighted, and I'll just select my Rite Aid page and hit the load button. And there's the page with all the changes that I made at the very beginning. Just given you is already contained in the regular manual for the Advanced Get End of Day program. If you don't have a manual now, you should be able to call or write it out to the office out in Hayward, California, and request a manual out there. All of this information, again, that I've given you so far is in that manual already. So now that we have a good understanding of the pages, let's talk a little bit about portfolios and how they differ from pages. A page is an actual chart that has the data on it, your technical analysis as far as Elliott waves and your oscillator, any changes that you've made as far as trend lines and text. All of those things get saved on a page. A portfolio is quite different. All a portfolio is a list of symbols. For instance, if I had a list of all the symbols in the S&P 500, that would be a portfolio of the S&P 500. So when I go up here and go to File and Portfolios, you can see that I have several portfolios in here already. I have something called Nate's Portfolio that was just created from a previous class. I made a portfolio of all stocks for a presentation that I did. And right here is a portfolio that I did at a user seminar. This is search results of a Type 1 buy, the T1B, as of 2/9 of 04. And if I go in and edit that, you'll see that on the right-hand side, these are all the symbols that are involved in that portfolio. So this is a portfolio. It's just a list of symbols. And a page is an actual chart that has technical analysis and whatever else you want on it. So it's important to understand the difference between the two as we go through the rest of the search functions here. So now that we have an understanding of both of those, let's go ahead and run a search. I'm going to go ahead and just go to File and New Search to bring up the search window. And you'll see that on the left-hand side, the first thing we have to do is enter in what portfolio we would like to search to find our results. I'm going to pretend that I am just a stock trader, and I'm going to use that portfolio that I created of all stocks. So I'll go over here and hit this little gray button out to the right of Portfolio, and it's going to bring up all the portfolios that I have. My issue list is going to be all of the symbols that are included in my data. So if I'm subscribing to the eSignal Wizard data, that's going to be all of the stocks, all of the futures, and all of the indices. Well, I'm only created a portfolio called All Stocks, and I'll hit OK. And I'll be running my search now on only the stock data that I have on my computer. So that's where the portfolio comes into the search. To the right, where it says Parameters, this is where we have to define the parameters we're going to use to search for. Now, we'll be doing a Type 1 buy in this scenario here. So I'll hit my Parameters button out here to the right, and you'll see that I have Type 1 buy already here in my parameters. I'm going to go ahead and edit this just so you can see the parameters that I'm using for my type 1 buy. I have the bars set to 1, meaning that it's going to search as of 1 bar ago. I have my period set to daily. We're going to look for type 1 buys on a daily chart. And listed over here on the right are the parameters that we're going to use for our type 1 buy. I've selected them from over here at the left and hit the add button down at the bottom to add them to the right to be included in my search. Elliott wave 4, here's the parameters. Bars should be set to 300. Direction should be set to up. Oscillator pullback, we're using a 535 oscillator. The pullback should be a minimum of 90%, a maximum of 140%. And again, the direction of the Elliott wave sequence is in the up direction. The profit-taking index should be above 35. Number of bars should be set at 300. And again, Elliott waves are up. And something I like to do is I like to give myself a price range to work with. I have this set to be a low of 10 or a high of 10,000. That basically just means all stocks above $10. And an average volume, I have that set to a volume of 1 million shares on average. The moving average I have in there is 65, so over the last 65 trading days, these results will all have traded over 1 million shares on average. So these are the settings that I like to use doing a type 1 buy. I'll go ahead and hit OK, and you'll see that type 1 buy now shows up in our parameters. So we know what it is we're going to be looking for, these parameters set up in the type 1 buy. Now we know what we're going to be looking in, which is the entire stock realm. So now that I have those two things in place, I'm ready to hit my little green play button. And you'll notice that the results start coming in at this point. Now, what's the first thing you notice about these results? Too many. That's a good answer. You're right. There's way too many results here. And you'll see over here to the right of the list of results, it lists all of the parameters that we have laid out, but not all of these filled in. That's because at the top of the list of results here, I have it set to any parameter. If I want the result to show up, if it meets only or at least 1 out of the 5 parameters that I have in here, I have it set to any parameter. If I want it to only show me the results that meet all 5 of my parameters, I can left click where it says any parameter, and now it's only giving me the list of results that meet all 5 of the criteria that I have laid out. And you'll see up here right above there, it's giving us a status report. So far we've searched about 1,100 of the 8,300 stocks that I have in this portfolio. We have found 7, which is effectively 0% of all of the ones that we've gone through so far. There's the 8th one that came in. So we're only about 20% done with our search right now. I'll probably let it go till about 25 and just use the list of results that we have. While we're waiting, I can show you some of the other features that are on here. This red button here, the red circle, pretty self-explanatory. That's the stop button. I rarely use the stop button because if you hit the stop button and you want to continue with your search, there's no way to do so. You have to start the search all over again. Stop means I don't want to do this search, I want to do something else, and I'll be starting the search all over again. The button just to the right of that looks just like a pause button on your CD player or your tape player, and that's exactly what it is. I can press the pause button, which I'll do, and you can see that the search has now stopped. But with the pause button, I'm able to hit the button again, and the search will resume. Change all charts has to do with an interesting feature of the search window. I can double-click on any of these results down here, and it will open up for me a chart of that result. I'll go ahead and do that. I just double-clicked on the first one, which is ABGX, and it now brought up a chart for me of ABGX. I can go up here to Window and Tile Horizontally, And you'll see that I have two charts open. That's my Rite Aid chart down there at the bottom that I had before. Let's tile those vertically. That'll show up a little better. There we go. Here's my ABGX chart. Here's my Rite Aid chart that I did my technical analysis on. Here's the hello class that I wrote on there. So I have two open windows here. But when I double-clicked on ABGX, it only changed the one chart that opened up when I double-clicked. If I click on Amgen here, it's going to change this chart to Amgen, but my Rite Aid chart was unaffected. If I put a check mark next to Change All Charts in my search window, and then double-click on ABGX, it's going to change both of these charts to ABGX. So Change All Charts means take all of the open windows, or all of the open chart windows in Advanced Get, and change all of their symbols to ABGX. So if I click on Amgen again, both of my charts change over to Amgen. So that's what Change All Charts does. I'm going to send this one back to Rite Aid over here and expand my search window so we're seeing that. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my Amgen chart because we're not really going to need that. And we're back here to our list of results. To the right of Change All Charts is something that's called Independent of Pages. All this means is if I were to save this right now as a page, I have my Rite Aid chart back there. Go ahead and put that back into range. And I have my search window. Those are the two windows that I have open in advance to get it up as a page. Because the search has Independent of Pages checked, it would not get saved in that page. If I went back to recall that page, this search window would not be contained therein. So when something is marked as Independent of Pages, it does not get saved in your page. It's something that's very rarely used, but I just figured I'd have a question on it if I didn't explain it, so I went ahead and threw that out there. All right, we've got a list of 20 results here. I'm just going to go ahead and work with this list. We're about 50% done, so I'll go ahead and stop the search, and we'll just say for the sake of time here in the class that this is our entire list of results that we got from our Type 1 buy. What are some things that I can do now with this list? Well, I can go through one at a time and double-click on each one of these and look at them, but I'm really not gleaning anything from doing that. I don't have anything saved to go back on by doing that. What I like to do with my list of results is save this list as a portfolio and then do what's called an AutoPage on that portfolio, where I can wind up having a saved page with each one of these symbols with all of the technical analysis that I need on each page. And that's what we're going to do here. All I need to do to save this as a portfolio is right-click with my mouse anywhere down here in the list of results. I'll right-click, and you'll see that there's a selection there that says Make Portfolio. When I left-click on that, a familiar screen opens up. This is my Edit Portfolio screen, and on the right-hand side here are all of the symbols that were in my results list, from Abganix Incorporated all the way down to Legato Systems Incorporated. And I can title this now, up here under Portfolio Name, I can say Type 1 Buy, and today is March 3rd of 04. So this is my Type 1 Buy results list as of March 3rd of 2004. I hit OK, and I now have a portfolio of this list of results. I can close my search window down now, and back to a default Rite Aid chart here that has the studies on it that I need. It has my Elliott waves, which we use in a Type 1 trade, and it has my 535 oscillator, which we use in a Type 1 trade. When I bring something up that's in an Elliott wave 4, it's automatically going to put my profit-taking index on there and show me my wave 4 channels as well. And I have all of the steps that I need to be able to effectively look at that as a possibility of entering that in a position. So we're going to do now the steps to do an auto page on a portfolio that I have with all of the technical analysis that you want to be included on each one of these pages. Once you have that, which it's going to use as the template for all of the rest of the pages, you can go up to the Page menu and select AutoPage. When you first bring up this AutoPage menu, it may look like this, with none of this information down here at the bottom. All you need to do is go over here to where it says Pages, click on that, and it brings up a familiar looking menu that we had before when we were saving and loading pages. We should all be pretty familiar with this area here, so I'm not going to go over this as of yet. I'm going to start up here at the top where it says Portfolio. Now, the portfolio that we want to use for our AutoPage is going to be the one that we just saved, our Type 1 Buy portfolio. So I go ahead and hit the little gray button out to the right here, and there's my T1B as of March 3rd of '04, and I'll hit OK. So I now have that as the portfolio. Below there, I want to make sure that Save Auto Pages is checked. Just to the right of there, you have an option to send to printer. If you do that, it's going to print out all 20 of those charts that we're going to go through that are on our Type 1 Buy portfolio. So if you want that, fine. If not, don't waste the paper on your printer. Make sure this is unchecked. I'm setting my rotation speed to 0. That means it's going to effectively be about less than a second for each one of these pages to be created. If you want to glance at these while they're being created, you can set it to 5 seconds apiece, and it'll pause for 5 seconds on each one as they're being created. I'll just set mine to 0 for now, and I have everything up at the top set how I need it. What I need to determine now is what folder I want these to be saved in. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. I'm going to highlight my Pages folder, hit the new folder icon, and I'm going to call these T1B Possibles as of 3.3. So this is the folder where all these are going to be saved. So I have the portfolio selected. I'm saving Auto Pages. My rotation speed is at 0, and I know the folder that I'm going to be saving these in, and I have it highlighted. So I'm going to hit the Auto Page button, and once we're done, we're going to have an entire list of pages here that we can go through one by one to see whether or not they're a possibility to enter a position. So I'll select the Auto Page button, and you'll see things flash across your screen very quickly here. And once it's done, it'll stop here. There we are. We'll stop at Legato Systems. And if I go up here to Page and Load Page, with Type 1 Buy Possibles of March 3rd, here's all 20 of my saved pages, starting with ABGX all the way down to Legato Systems. So I'm going to go ahead and load the very first one. I'm going to highlight here in the Load Pages menu and select Load. And here's my Abganix Incorporated. I have no idea who Abganix is. I've never heard of them before. But they're set up in a Type 1 Buy scenario. I can tell that in 2 seconds from looking at the chart. You know, we're still holding the red wave 4 channel. I automatically know because I did my search that the PTI is good, that we're in a wave 4, and that my oscillator is within the proper bounds, retraced between 90 but no more than 140%. So I don't even need to worry about any of those. All I have to do is take the half a second that it takes to see whether or not it is holding the wave 4 channels. I'm going to go back to this load. I'm sorry? It's a very flick? Oh, good, good. I'm going to show you something a little quicker than going back to this Load Pages menu here as well. All of the pages that we're interested in right now are in this one folder, this Type 1 Buy Possibilities folder. So we have a feature in here with just some buttons up here at the top. This button here with the turquoise arrow pointing to the left is Previous Page, and the button to the right is Next Page. I can scroll through all of the pages in one folder just by using these buttons. If I hit the Next Page button, it's going to go to page number 2 in that folder, which is Automatic Data Processing. And you can see that this one is holding the blue channels, so it's still a possibility. And go to the next one. This one's still holding the blue channels, so it's a possibility. Next one. Well, here's one. Amgen has broken all 3 of the regression trend channels. So we really don't need to be interested in Amgen, do we? So I can go to my Pages menu and go to Load Page, and I can highlight Amgen and just delete page over here on the right. And it's going to say, do you really want to delete it? And I'll say yes. And now Amgen is no longer listed in my list of pages. We didn't need it anymore. So I'll go back up to number 5 again. This one's still a possibility. This one here is a little quirky. That's a little weird with the red channel being above the green. I've seen that before, but never when it got crossed first. Franklin looks okay. Channel still holding the red here. Still holding the blue. Oh, this Dollar General Corporation, I don't like that too much. Go to Page, Load Page, and delete that one. And we'll go to page number 12 and load it. E-Trade looks pretty good. Expedia looks okay. Flextronics is okay. Freddie Mac looks pretty good. Corning looks pretty good. Honeywell looks pretty good. Icon looks okay. Ew, J.D. Edwards doesn't look very good, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. And then Legato's our last one. And we eliminated 3 out of our 20, so we now have 17 possibilities in our Type 1 buy folder for today. You noticed that some of these, the opportunity has already passed. Like this is automatic data processing. You know, this one would have already been triggered, so we're a little late in the ballgame for this. But you can see where if you did this every day, you know, you would pick up on these as they were being triggered, and you wouldn't have to worry about the ones that have already been triggered in the past. So this is the way that I like to do my searches. I found that it saves me an awful lot of time going through them this way, and I'm able to, you know, spend more time doing other things rather than having to go through and do all of my research. Once I have my search set up, and I run my search, save my portfolio, do my AutoPage, and filter through the ones that I want to keep. You know, once you get good at this, it really only takes a few minutes to run each search every day. And you should really be able to significantly cut down on the time that it takes to go through that. That's kind of the brief overview of the steps that I like to go through. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up for questions at this time, and we can review anything it is that you would like to look over. Are there any questions from those in the conference call? How you doing, Dennis? Good. Good. Yes. Yeah, any saved page that you have, as you're updating your data, it's being updated on the page no matter if you're looking at it or not. So if I went away for a week, came in, downloaded my data, and then went back to look at that Rite Aid chart we were using earlier, it would be up to date. So yeah, it pulls all the information into that saved page. Right. For my trigger, I'm usually using the regression trend channels. And in this case here, you would just draw it from wave 3 to wave 4. That's what I would be using. In other classes, we've talked about the trigger techniques. We know that we can use this in this case because our Pearson's R value that gets drawn on here with the regression trend channel is above 0.90. So we can use this regression trend channel for that. If your Pearson's R is below 0.90, you need to then use a 6-4 displaced moving average. That's something that's gone over in some of the other sessions, but I'll go ahead and put that on here. I have it saved as a template, so I can go ahead and load that up. It's just a 6-period moving average, offset to the right, a value of 4, and you have one is the source high, and another one is the source of the low. And when you put it on, it looks just like that. And I'll go ahead and explain how this one would be triggered. The blue line in the regression trend channel is used just like the blue line in the moving average channels, and the red line corresponds to the red line. And go ahead and remove that. What we do here to trigger this is we wait for a bar to close outside of the regression trend channels. This bar from yesterday, I don't have mine in online mode to have today's bar in there. I haven't downloaded the data yet. this one closed outside of. So then we would use the high of that bar as our entry. If the market today were to have crossed above that high, we would be triggered long into the market. But already in looking at this one, it would not meet our reward to risk possibilities. We were risking this low down here of the low of wave 4 in order to try to reach this mob up here. So they have very little distance between our entry and the mob, but a great deal of distance between our entry and our stop. So too much risk versus the reward in this one. Sure. Good. Are there any? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. The Fibonacci drawn on the oscillator you're talking about to measure the 90% versus the 140% retracement. Okay. Because we ran the search, I'm still going to draw it on there for you, but because we ran the search, we already know that the oscillator is within the bounds of the 90 to 140, because that was part of our search parameters. However, if you have something saved as a page that is continually updating that has not been triggered yet, and wave 4 continues to move in the down direction, you might have to come in and measure it to see if it's still within the parameters before it gets triggered. So let's go ahead. We're going to use the Fibonacci retracement tool to do this. I'm going to go ahead and right-click on the Fibonacci retracement button, and I'm going to change one value to 0.9 to represent the 90% retracement. And I'll change another value here, and our upper limit of not being able to exceed 140% retracement. I'll turn everything else off and hit OK. And now I can select my Fibonacci retracement tool with my left mouse button. And I want to bring it down into the oscillator and make my first click at this 0 line where the oscillator goes from positive to negative. So there's my first click. I just made it there. And now I want to line up my mouse out and to the right with the peak that was made during the wave 3. Now, it does not have to be right at the point in time where wave 3 is marked. At any point in time during wave 3, wherever that highest peak is, which is right over here, about the 3rd of February. So I'll line that up, drawing my mouse out here to the right, and that's where my second mouse click is made. And now you can see, here's my 90% retracement. We reached that on the 26th of February. And if I adjust my scale here, you'll see the 1.4 way down here. So we're nowhere near going outside of our bounds for that as of yet. Always the highest peak during wave 3. Again, it does not have to be right where wave 3 is marked. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's somewhere between wave 2 and wave 3. And you always choose the highest peak that you have in there. No problem. Any other questions in the conference call? Okay. Well, this search that we used here today is not in the real-time program. There is a search feature that is an add-on to the real-time program. It accomplishes essentially the same thing, and since we have some time here, let me go ahead and show this. See if I have it in here. It's not in there. I'll have to log into it online here. Give me just a minute. Your screen might go blank here for a minute, but I'm going to try to go ahead and log on to this thing. Right, yeah, today's session was just on end of day, but I will show you that the same thing is accomplishable in the real time. So just going to a web address here and logging into the real-time search. The end of day program. But no, it's not available with real time. Yeah. No. This is only available in the advanced get end of day program. You have the advanced get real time program. Right. Yeah, and it's available as an add-on. The screen that you see on there right now is available as an add-on to the real-time program. So these are some results that I have here. And you can see here that we can do a possible type 1 buy in the real-time as well. So yeah, this is the real-time search. It looks very different than the end-of-day search. And we've done some WebEx training on this as well. But it is not the same thing that is available right there. Right, exactly. The real-time search is either $160 per month if you add it on and pay month to month. If you'd like to prepay for an entire year, that saves you a little bit. That breaks down to, I think, either $120 or $130 per month. Right, the advanced get studies added on to eSignal is the same price. Right, right. No, those are the ones that I used. The first three that I had on there, let me go ahead and bring that back up again. He was asking, are there recommended parameters for the type 1 other than what I use? And this is what I use right here. The ones that we publish are the Elliott Wave 4, the oscillator pullback, and the profit-taking index. The other ones that I added were the price range. You know, I'm not really interested in too many things that are under $10. And the average volume. I want to make sure that the things that I'm looking at have good volume and good liquidity. So those are two things that I added in there. But the Elliott Wave 4, the oscillator pullback, and the PTI are the base parameters for a type 1 buy. I have Word documents that I'm able to email to people. I'm going to go ahead and put my email address up here. You can email me at this email address that you see on your screen, and I'll be more than happy to forward the search parameters on to you if you'd like. I also have text files on different portfolios with instructions on how to import those into Advanced Get. For instance, I have the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Dow 30, different things like that that you can import into Advanced Get as portfolios. So if you'd like to only search the S&P 500, you can set that up as a portfolio pretty quickly using the Import New List feature. And I have instructions on how to do all that as well. So if you want to receive a Word document on how to set up the search for Type 1 and Type 2 buys and sells, I also have XTL trades on buys and sells. I can send those out to you, and I can send as well as the instructions on how to import the portfolios into the end-of-day program. So for any of that, just go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll get those out to you. Importing from TC2000 is something a little bit different. I would show you how to do that, but I don't have TC2000 on my computer. Basically, when you have the TC2000 data path set up, let me go ahead and I'll right-click on my chart, go to Issue, and if I hit this Data Paths button, it shows me my eSignal data path that I have. Yours would say TC2000, and then out to the right of it, it would say All Items in System. All right? You could highlight that and hit the Properties button, and you would be given a drop-down list here of all of the available Warden lists from your TC2000 program. So, I'm sorry? Well, you're using TC2000 for your data source, correct? Yeah, so yeah, it brings the data in, and you can also use those Warden lists to create your own portfolios. For instance, if you had a search that you had run in TC2000 and you saved those results as a Warden list, you would have that available to you in this drop-down menu. So you would set this to that Warden list and hit OK, and then this would say TC2000, there would be a dash, and then it would give the title of your Warden list out to the right of it. And when you hit OK, you would see this rescanning that you see happening on there now. And once it was done, this list over here would only have your symbols from that warden list contained in it. Then you could go over here to Portfolios. There's a Portfolios button right here. And you could say New Portfolio. There's a New button in the lower right-hand corner. And once you had this up, you just hit Add All. You know, this whole list over here on the left would be all of those things from your warden list. Hitting Add All would bring them all over here to the right-hand side. And you could title this whatever your warden list is. And when you hit OK, you would have a portfolio of that warden list in Advanced Get. You would just add to that. When you hit the Data Paths button, there's an Add button. You'll see TC2000 V4.X for stocks. Just select that and hit OK, and that should bring the TC2000 data into your program. If you have issues with that, if you're having trouble here, 510-264-1700, and this is e-signal and Advanced Get Export. To get to Get, you want to choose option number 3. So there's the information. If you have trouble doing that, trouble setting that up, they'll walk you through all of those steps out there in Hayward, California. Sure. Are there any other questions? Sure. Yeah, I'm recording this event here right now, and as soon as we're done here, I will post it to our recorded event section on the website, and you'll be able to review this as many times as you want. That's true with all the classes that I do live that are not specific for a user seminar follow-up. Any of you that attend a paid user seminar, part of the value added to that is we do a specific follow-up event, usually about a week and a half after the seminar. That gives you some time to play around with the things that you've learned and to develop some questions on the things that you learned at the paid seminar. Then when we do the follow-up, we do a review of what we talked about and answer any questions that you have. If you attend, we'll just use the Trading the Plan seminar as an example. If you've attended a Trading the Plan seminar any time in the past, and we do a follow-up event for a Trading the Plan seminar in a different city, you are still invited to any Trading the Plan follow-up event that we have from that point on. So you'll be able to attend any of those. Yes? Right, for the follow-up events. You know, we don't, yet, at this point, we don't allow you to attend the actual seminar again for free. We're working on price breaks for repeat attenders, not repeat offenders, to our seminars. Right, exactly. None of them are being dropped off. They're all being posted on here. Yes. Yes. Okay. Right. We would have got probably about 40. The 10 Primo. Right. Okay, his question was, for those of you that aren't in the conference call, is he wants to know how we could really narrow this thing down even farther, since we got through half of our search and we had a list of results that had about 20 in it. We would have probably at least got 40 or 50 results if we did the entire issue list. And my answer to that is you can pretty much add as much as you want. You can get as detailed as you want. We have a moving average in here that you can add. If you want to put in only those that are just now crossing above a 6-4 moving average, in other words, they're just being triggered today, you can add that in there as well. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to hit the Add button. That puts the moving average over here. I can go over here and edit that moving average. And I'm going to set the first moving average to just a 1-0 close. That is effectively going to be the market close. Does everybody follow that? It's just going to be a line that connects the dots from the close for each day. So basically this is just the moving average of the close. So this is the market close, and I want that to have crossed above a 6-4 moving average of the high. That's that upper band of our 6-4 moving average channels. So I want the market to have crossed above a 6-4 high. And I'll hit OK. Sure. I can go back and I can load the results that we had already and hit OK. And this search will go very quick. And only Corning Incorporated met those. I can double click on Corning. I'll put my Elliott on and go ahead and put our moving average channels on here. And you can see that, yeah, the oscillator, we know that it's in bounds here because we just ran the search on it. I could go ahead and put it on from up here at the top. There's the oscillator. And you can see that it just closed outside of the 6-4 moving average. This was as of yesterday's data. So, right. You're looking to buy at the end. You know, we're a little late on this one, obviously, because it would have triggered the first time back in here. But you're looking to find the end of wave 4 to anticipate where we're going for wave 5. It's just 3 weeks ago, I think, we did a complete session on just the type 1 trade. So yeah, that's one thing you can do. You can add some sort of trigger. Yeah, your stop would be placed, you know, at or just below, you know, this wave 4 low here. Go ahead and right, exactly. Right. Well, the Elliott wave's changing. You're going to be able to anticipate that ahead of time by reading your oscillator. You know, if this oscillator continues to meander downward and we cross over that 140% retracement down here, chances are this wave 4 is going to recount down here when we take it out. And, you know, you're going to be now in a wave 3 down, which is somewhere you definitely don't want to be caught in a long position. So reading your oscillator is going to help you anticipate the Elliott wave changes. The regression lines, in this case, you know, for the original trigger, let me go ahead and get rid of the moving average channels. The original trigger would have been back here, but you see that our Pearson's R value is 0.878, which is less than 0.9, so we would have used the 6-4 moving average channels anyway. And we talk more about that at our user seminars. If you're doing a type 1 buy, you use the regression channels from wave 3 to wave 4. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm sorry, we didn't get back to that here. I'm going to go back to the page and load page. He wants to look at that Rite Aid chart again. That's in my watch list folder. And I'll select Rite Aid and hit load. And there it is. ABC is basically the market either moves in a 5-wave or a 3-wave sequence. We're interested with the type 1 and the type 2 trades in a 5-wave sequence. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s that we have on here. When the market moves in three-wave sequences, that's basically just a market correction. And that's when you see the ABCs. Basically, as far as an advantage to get a good entry into the market with the ABCs. Right, we would have done a type 2 sell at the end of wave 5 here. Well, typically with a type 2 trade, your initial profit objective is the previous wave 4. And in this case, wave 5 was very short. And this first A wave right here took out that level for wave 4 and probably, there it is, bounced right off at the mob off of wave 4. So that would have been your initial profit objective. So you should have taken at least some profits off right here. And then wherever you placed your stop after that, maybe you placed your stop at the end of this second attempt up here. We came up and we didn't take out that, so you might have still stayed in it. And it just depends on how long you want to stay in this thing. Where you want to put your stops at. Sure, real quick, we're about out of time here. MU? All right, Micron Technology. Okay. Yeah, what we're looking at here, look at our Elliott wave count, and then look at our oscillator. Those two things don't seem to jive with me. What we like to see with an oscillator pattern, we like to see our nice big peak during wave 3, which we have, and we like to see a nice zeroing out of the oscillator during wave 4, and then a nice gradual peak for wave 5. But what we have here during this wave 4 is big peak above, big peak below, then little peak, little peak, little peak, big peak, big peak, big peak. It's all over the place here during this wave 4. So looking at this like here, I don't really like this Elliott count that we have on here. I don't really think that all of this jump that we had from July all the way to January was a good wave 4. This is probably just a bunch of corrective phases in here, but it's calling it wave 4. We don't get into this too much, especially in an online class like this, but this would be a place where you could use an alternate wave count. Sure. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sure. Yeah. If you go over here to the Elliott button, you can right-click on the Elliott button and select the properties, and you have an aggressive, and this looks more like what we should be looking at right now. We've got this big peak going on in the oscillator right now, and it shows with the aggressive count as a wave 3. That I believe. You've also got a short term in here, which I can apply, and that doesn't have any of the major waves on there. The long term, I'll apply that, and that looks pretty much like our original. But if you look in the end of day manual, it gives you the conditions under which you would typically want to use these alternate Elliott wave counts. And it'll give you guidelines of when you should look to do so. Yes. Yeah, the same thing can be done in the real-time program. I don't have it running on this computer right now, but basically you would right-click on your chart. Are you using the eSignal program with the Advanced Get Studies added on? Okay. You would right-click on your chart, go to the Edit Studies selection in that menu, and then you'd select Elliott waves from your list of studies that are applied. And that same menu that we were just looking at, this Properties menu here, the same menu is in that Edit Studies area. And you can accomplish exactly the same thing. Yes. It's the Advanced Get the Tools, the Powers, the Knowledge manual. No, that's the ultimate authority on the Advanced Get stuff. No problem. We've about reached our allotted time here. I want to thank everybody for coming. We had great class participation today. That always makes for a much better presentation, so I thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and leave the chat open for those of you who are just listening over your computer speakers. That way, if you still have some questions that you need to ask, Ron can get to those here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. and we'll go ahead and close the session down after that. But again, my name is Nate McCartney. We'll go ahead and post this to the internet here in the next half hour or so it will be available if you want to view it at a later date. But thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you at another seminar sometime soon. Thank you. Bye.